Today I bring you my mentor and friend Amoya Shante, the queen of Delulu.
Delulu is the Salulu, like basically by being delusional, right? Someone who is usually deemed as crazy. They have like a crazy level of self belief. What about the law of delusion? What about whatever you decide to be true will be true? There is no limits to their level of delusion because your life is shaped by your beliefs.
Amoya has built and leads a community of women who are ready to live into their dreamiest dream life, their most delicious, fun, juicy reality, and do it right now. If this feels like it's drawing you in and you want to know what this is all about, or if you feel like, what the heck is she talking about, then this is a must watch. Let's get started. Amoya, welcome!
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on today. Wow. It's such an honor for me to have you. Like I was telling you in the last few minutes, this conversation will be so different from what I normally have here on this podcast. I'm all about Kajabi, page building, funnels, and all that. And whenever I have someone coming in who is in a totally different universe and whole next level, I'm so excited for this conversation. And I'm so thankful. So let's jump into it. The first question I ask everyone on this podcast is, what do you do and why do you do what you do?
Gosh, what a big question. It feels like such a big question. What do I do? What do I do? I help people, right? Because I don't just work with business owners. I help people utilize the law of delusion to create their dreamiest lives. And it can include their business, but it's really a whole approach. The dreamiest love, the dreamiest bank account, the dreamiest mornings. I just help people really shift into the identity of the version of them who has everything they desire and to stabilize that version and to play in the decision energy of everything already exists. It's already theirs. So every decision they make needs to come from that version of them. So yeah, I don't know if that like it's so hard to put what I do into words because it's something that is felt more than is talked about, which is a little weird.
Yeah, it was funny preparing for this episode. I opened up your Facebook page. I don't think I have looked at it before even enrolling into your program ever. But and I'm just going back to the person I was when I first came across you. And if I read this description, I would have been like, what the F? But the description says, I will read it out. Your
Yeah.
Law of Delusion bestie, helping you use Delulu as the solulu to make all your dreams trelulu.
Yes.
Trululu, sorry, trululu. To me, as a person who I heard about the law of attraction, that was kind of my max, and about manifestation and connecting with your future self. But this whole, even the word Delulu, I haven't heard it before coming across you. So tell me more about that. Where
Yeah.
does that come from? Like the law of
Okay.
delusion. What is that?
So, yes, I help you lose. So, Delulu was actually this trend that took off on TikTok that I did not create. People just talked about it in this fun way of like, Delulu is the Salulu, like basically by being delusional, right? Someone who is usually deemed as crazy, right? They have like a
Yeah.
crazy level of self belief. They're like, they don't take any answer as no. It's kind of, that sounds not so good. But what I mean is like, they have this level of belief, like, I want to be in that movie, or I want to get on that podcast, or I want to work with that person, or I want to make this amount of money. Like there is no limits to their level of delusion. So where delusion is usually looked at as kind of a bad thing, a kind of a that person's being so delusional. Delulu is this trend that came in that really brought fun and play to this level of self belief that helps you actually change your life, right? because your
Hmm.
life is shaped by your beliefs. And what a lot of people struggle with is the belief in self that anything is possible, that they can create the most beautiful life, the most beautiful business, the most beautiful love, bank account, all these things. So I saw it originally as a trend on TikTok. And then I didn't think, I just saw it as a fun thing, right? I just started saying, Delulu is a Delulu, Delulu is a Delulu. And then I went into actually creating it in a more practical framework that other people could apply and coined it the Law of Delusion, which took elements of the Law of Assumption from Neville Goddard that I didn't like some of the things. I felt like they could be improved, and Law of Attraction and Law of Vibration. I was like, well, I want my own law, which is delusional in itself, right? I was like, I want a law.
Hmm.
Like, why these people have a law and we just go with it, right? We're like, hey,
Hmm.
law of assumption, Neville Goddard. I'm like, what about the law of delusion? What about
Oh.
whatever you decide to be true will be true, right? And that form of level of delusion. So, yeah, for me, it started with seeing a trend around it and then wanting to take it from just this fun thing, which I highly believe in. I feel like it gives a fun element to transformational work because the healing spaces sometimes feel, and even for me, they feel so heavy. Like it's like so heavy. And I'm like, how can we add a fun place, playful element to some of the deeper work, right? So we're not having to like, it's not, it's approached it this different way that makes people more open to it because they're having fun.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how it came to be. It's like that started as a trend. And then I took it and turned it into an actual framework, right? That just wasn't out there by all the tools and modalities that I've trained in or used in my own life and packaged it together in this way that made it applicable so people could actually start applying it to their life and getting results. So, and actually, there's a little bit more to this story. I started with this back in really publicly in 2023 on TikTok. But then a couple weeks in talking about Delulu's a Salulu, Law of Delusion, I chickened out. And I said, this is
Hmm.
too silly to put out there, right? I would have it in my spaces, but it wasn't a marketing thing. Like I didn't really put it out there until August 2025 when I was like, you know what? This changed my life. So why is this not my offer? Why am I not showing people this law that has helped me have the dreamiest life ever? And why am I not using it every single day, right? If I use it for a few months and transform my whole life, imagine if an entire year. So this whole Delulu's Delulu, Project Delulu year-long journey came to be born from that. But it's been an experience like over the last few years. It's really evolved.
Hmm.
But there's videos of me back in like 2023 saying like I'm doing 30 days of the law of delusion. Delulu's Delulu. It's just hilarious to look back on.
Oh. That's beautiful. I started following you in June 2025 when it was, I think it was the Soft Life CEO.
Yes.
Yeah. And to me, even that drew me in. But there I was still like, okay, this is nice, but I'm not sure if it's feasible for me. I'm not sure if I really want the full like soft life. And when I heard this, it was like, this is the real deal. This is everything. And if I needed to describe what it felt like, it felt easy and the permission to be silly and playful. And that's what drew me in. And
You know,
yeah.
it's so interesting because I really felt like I went through this journey of trying to like find the right marketing strategies or tools or create the right offerings. And the Delulu piece has been me forever, way before there was a word
Mm.
to it, right? So it's almost like I finally stepped fully into who I am for the first time. And it was so freeing. And the soft life thing, the part about it's like I live a soft life because of this work, right? But the soft
Hmm.
life wasn't the path to this work, to this reality. That's the
Yeah.
byproduct of it. So it was like I was operating in this byproduct and trying to market that way, which really wasn't fully landing with people because they couldn't figure out, yeah, but how? And also, will that get me the results that I seek? And I feel like When I stepped fully into, which is what I help people with too, who I am unapologetically, well, then you just become magnetic. Then it just becomes really easy because you're no longer like trying to water down your message or hold back in any way. You're just able to say, like, I'm able to say
Yeah.
the F word now. I'm able to be like fiery and loud and free and honest as opposed to like being packaged up in this way that wasn't like, it's a part of me but wasn't the fullest expression. So I just find that interesting that you're like, I came across you during that time period that I had been in for a while. Like I was like soft life, and it's like, but wait a second, what led to this? What's the actual framework that led to being able to live a softer life? And not a soft life like we don't do anything. Obviously we work,
Yeah.
we go at it, and I love it, but I'm able to have ease and flow in my life based on the law of delusion, helping me
Hmm.
have that as a byproduct. That just becomes a natural byproduct. So I just love that. That's what it
Yeah.
took, was like that fun and that play, because that's really what I want to bring to the world.
Yeah, and come on, you did need softness. You gave birth right in the middle of your launch or something like this. It needed a soft side and surrendering and all that. It was incredible for me to watch. I'm like, is this really happening or are these just from previous years? No, you really had a baby and then launched like 2 weeks later, or I don't know. That was my impression.
It was. I launched 2 weeks before my youngest, now my fifth baby girl, was born. And then I had just pre sold the mastermind for like 6 weeks out. I launched from the bed. I'm always like in my bed, I'm launching from my bed. And yeah, I do believe in that element of business of like a lot of the people that come to me, and myself included, like we work a lot and it's like a thing for us. So it's like, okay, how do we slow this down a bit, and how do we be more intentional and give more room for our life? Like, what is the point of business if we're not living our most delicious lives, right? And sometimes the
Yeah.
business consumes that. So this is a way to like bring it back in center and remember why we are doing it, right? What's the
Yeah.
point otherwise?
Definitely. Oh wow. We jumped straight into it, but let's zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think when you first thought about what you want to be in the future, like at the age of 6, 12, whatever, you would have this job description in your head. So tell me a little bit about where Amoya comes from. How did you end up in this amazing place which you are at now and which you share with us from time to time and allow us to enter and make it our own? But what was your journey to get here?
It's so crazy, this question, because I was just talking to my husband last night about, oh my God, I feel like I've lived so many lives in this lifetime. Like so many lives that I don't even understand how in my almost 39 years we've been able to experience, or I've been able to experience what I've been able to experience and live through. So what brought me here? Oh, I come from a background of, my mom was military. I grew up with a military parent. She was a single mama. I was a teen mom. I had two babies by the age of 19. And then I went into the military, which is very like, not Delulu is the Sulu. It's very like rules and regulations, and you get up at 4 a.m. and you clock in and you have very little sleep and you're working long hours and you're owned by the government. Like there's a lot of that. And I ended up getting medically retired from the military at a very young age, at 21 years old. So I was retired as if I had done 40 something years at
Mm.
21 years old, which is a whole government story that we don't need to get into today. But it really led to me starting to have more of awakening around traditional medicine, just traditional life in general, right?
Mm.
But after that military experience, I ended up meeting my ex-husband, now ex-husband, getting married, and being in a really abusive marriage for 8 years. So I just went directly from one kind of dynamic that wasn't that healthy, which was the military. Still have a love hate relationship for it, into
Mm.
another. dynamic that was very unhealthy. And in this marriage was beyond unhealthy, but in it, I learned the power of the mind in the negative sense, what I could believe and be brainwashed into and experience on the negative side, which then, as I started to free myself from that marriage, which was a process, I started exploring the human mind in the positive sense, right? It was like,
Mm.
wow, if I could believe all these things and be in this experience this way, then why can't I essentially brainwash myself into self belief, into a whole new reality, right? And I didn't just get out of that marriage, which was a process. I also decided to sell all my possessions and travel the world full time, right? So it was like I had this awakening of freedom and a moment where I woke up and I'm like, oh my god, what have I been doing? I thought I wanted the marriage, the white picket fence, I got the college degree, I got, I bought the house, all this stuff. And I just woke up one day just absolutely miserable and realizing that I was in a very unsafe situation, right? It was like I
Mhm.
woke up to that. So I made the decision to get out of that. And in part of making that decision, I also decided to just get rid of all of my possessions. And at this time, I was now a single mom of three, recently separated, single mom of three, with my youngest was only 3 months old at the time. And I really attribute that awakening to having her. It was like I had my youngest with my now ex husband, and it woke me up to wanting to keep her safe. And it was like, I feel like to this day, I'm like, she really saved me. It like snapped, something snapped in me. And I started
Mhm.
getting us into a safer situation. And then I was led on this journey of travel, right? And meeting other people who were working online and just living differently than what I'd ever known. I didn't know about online businesses or even
Mhm.
having like your own business besides like people with physical businesses, right? I didn't know anything about that world, but it was like synchronicities of like this leads to that. You meet this person, you have this conversation, it starts to open up your reality to a whole new reality. But for me, it started with going through that experience, that marriage, and understanding the negative effects of what can happen to the human mind, with control and all these other things, and starting to study up on what we can do from a positive side with the human mind to change our reality and who we're being and all that stuff.
Mm.
So I don't know if that makes sense, if that's caught you up with like how this started to come to be. But
Yeah. What doesn't what is difficult to imagine is like you in that situation. Let's say something shifted and you woke up to it, but you were still a single mom with three kids. And how do you how do you even get started? Like, okay, you said you were traveling without wanting to like understand your full like monthly income or whatever. Wasn't
yeah,
there any fear of like,
oh my God.
can this be even done? Like, okay, you are the Delulu queen, the queenest queen, but still, how
Yeah.
did you overcome that?
I mean, this is what I realize is like I've always been delusional because for most people, they would never be able to see that as even possible. It would be too scary, right, to move forward. I will say, shoot, even get out in the military. I totally manifested. I remember I was like, I don't want to be here anymore, but you're like in a government contract. And then I was medically retired. I'm not going to say it was the prettiest way to go out, but I was retired at 21. And what that meant is I got a pension, right? A monthly pension. So when I decided to get out of this marriage, I had a low income, but I had a set income. That gave me the little
Yeah.
bit of the belief that we wouldn't starve.
Yeah.
Like that and I had this thought of, okay, if I'm not paying for rent here in the States or a mortgage in the States, right? I could use that for an Airbnb. And back in 2017, Airbnbs and stuff were a whole lot cheaper than, nowadays. So I was like, look, so the fear part was there and actually still comes up for me, right? Like, but I felt like this is how I felt. is I'm going to struggle as a single mom regardless, right? Single mom life is not for the faint of heart. They are the toughest
Mhm.
queens out there. And if I'm going to struggle, I might as well struggle in Venice, Italy, like on a gondola ride with my babies, right? That's the Delulu piece. And that's why I realized like I have this ability to see the fear, move anyways, like move through it anyways, go for it anyways, because the alternative is shoot, the life that I was in prior. It's like I tell, it's like maybe
Mhm.
it needs to get so bad that you have no choice but to go for it, right? You know, it was much scarier being in that marriage than it was getting on a bus in Guatemala with my three kids headed on an adventure.
Wow.
I don't
Wow.
know if that answers the question. It's just that's the steps that I take people through is this thing of the fear it comes up. It still does to this day. But how juicy of a vision can you make to where you're willing to go through any fear, any fire, because your vision, what you're moving into, what you see is so delusionally delicious.
Yeah. What did you see then? Like, okay, I'm gonna
Mm.
travel the world, but what was your what was your most delusionally delicious dream back then?
You know what it was just not putting my 3 month old in daycare. You know, that my babies had been through a lot in school and I wanted to homeschool them, and I didn't want to put my baby in, like, I didn't want to get a traditional job and put my baby in daycare. I wanted them, the dream was this slow, it's what I'm living now, right? It's this slow mornings of not needing anywhere to be. And I think this comes from at the time originally, like it was everything was like a schedule. Wake up, take them to school, you know, get in
Yeah.
the freaking drop off line, right, in the minivan, and you take them to school and they go to school all day and they come home and you just want to be with your babies, you want to go to the park but you can't because now they have homework to do, right? And then they have to
Mm.
get to bed so they can get up on time to go to school the next day, and everything was this thing. So my vision when I started with this was just to play and have fun. And how that came to be in part was I remember taking my girls on these two vacations, one in particular, though. We decided to skip school, go in the middle of the week to Port Aransas, Texas, little island, off season. And it was after the divorce or after the separation. It was just me and the babies. And we had so much fun. There was no like, we didn't have to be anywhere. We just got to wake up and explore and have fun. And there was no pressure of school and there was no pressure of anything. And I said, what? I want to experience this all the time. I want to
Mm.
experience us living life intentionally and being together and exploring this beautiful world and never having to, not having at that time, like I was really anti possessions. Like we just had three backpacks. Like
Mm.
just being able to play and have fun and breathe again, right? Like, so the vision wasn't this clear, like make lots of money or even have a business. At that beginning time, it was a vision of being with my babies and having fun,
Mm.
right? Just being free to wake up whenever, go to bed whenever, no rules. Like we were just like, throw out the rules. Society tells us all this stuff. Like I need to almost decondition from normal life. I still to this day can't even relate. I can't even envision going back to a regular life. I don't know.
Mm.
That's never, it can't happen.
Mm. So it never happened after this. You've been in this
It did. It
space.
did happen. I went back to the US in 2020 when all this beautiful stuff was happening, right? I went back to the US because one of my daughters desired a normal life. She wanted to go to traditional high school. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And I went back for 7 months and fell right back into old
Hmm.
patterns and day to day, and my business started struggling. So this time I already had a business. I started a single moms do travel membership that was just like a community of single moms that wanted to live abroad and are traveling the world, and we just built this community. And I went back
Hmm.
to the US at one point and fell back into those patterns, and after 7 months realized like, ooh, I need to get out of here. I do feel like the US has this signature of how do I say this? Conformity of, it's like not just the US, everywhere. There's this signature of like normal life. You wake up, you go to the job that you probably hate because it's not like the job's not the issue. It's a job that's they're not finding fulfilling, right? It's never enough money. They come home, watch a show, go to bed, and do it again. I feel it there because I see it amongst, family, friends like this, but it's like a sleepwalking, right? Like I feel like so I went back into that sort of and just realized I need to like get out of it. So I have had, and okay, I had even a period in my business that felt very stagnant. This is before the Delulu
Mhm.
Salulu came really online, where I felt like I was leaning into strategy and I was leaning into the steps, right? You got to do all the things properly. When I had originally built my business on delusion, right? I didn't have like a pretty sales page or team members or anything. People were just like, I bought it because of your energy. I don't even know what I bought. So then I tried to,
Which is
follow.
exactly what's happening right now, I think. At least it happened to me last
Yeah.
September. So, anyway, keep going.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. But then I started going into the rules, right? I feel like we're really programmed as humans to follow the rules, to,
Yeah.
do the thing. And so I started like, I got to this in business. I had built a six-figure business. And then I joined like my first business course. And I was like, I need to get my messaging right. I need to launch. I need to host an event on Tuesday, Thursday, and then the Tuesday or something like that. Like I've got to do this thing. And what happened is like business actually started reverting back because I lost the key element of Delulu, of fun, of play, of not following the rules so much that it takes away from the energetic frequency. And that's hard to package up because it is just hard to package up. And I had an awakening like back in August after a really failed launch, right? Of following the rules. I was following the rules to the T and being like, what am I not doing now that I was doing back in 2021 when things really started taking off for me? And I realized I was like, I've been scared. Like I went back into being scared of everything, I was leaning into strategy, right? Like doing all
Mhm.
the strategy. And I forgot that Delulu is the Salulu. And I just want to commit to dropping logic a bit, right? And stepping into infinite possibilities. And then operating from the version of me who's who's like whatever that vision was, right? What decisions would she make? How would she be operating? How would she be feeling? And then live my days based on that. So I've had moments, yes, where I fell back into this thing. And the longest period of time was actually not when I went back to the States and then came back to Mexico. It was for 2.5 years after building a successful business. I felt very capped and I would try different things. I had the soft life CEO thing. I had this. I retired a signature program. Like nothing broke the cap until I broke the rules again and let those rules go again and started playing and having fun, taking the pressure off.
Beautiful. We hear this often, like don't try to be what everybody else is doing, just go your way, just play by your rules. But how does that actually happen? So I think also you swapped from your fifth life to your ninth life, this story which you just
I
shared,
did.
because after you went back to the States and you said you had 7 months there where you kind of fit into what would be the normal. I don't think probably you didn't, but it felt like.
A little bit, but yeah, not really.
But then between that and what happened last summer, there was another delusionally beautiful story of your move to Mexico.
Yes.
So, how did that come about? What happened there? And how did it bring you to this life that you're living now?
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest piece right there because that's what happened recently is referencing back to that summer of 2021 when I basically hit rock bottom, right? I was out drinking, partying, hanging out with the wrong people, pretty much living out my 20s finally, since I was a single mom, I didn't really get to live that out in my 30s, right? And I remember waking up like, oh, this isn't it. I've disconnected from my purpose, my mission. My business was kind of not doing much. I had a membership, but I was also driving for Uber to supplement my income because I felt disconnected from my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a meetup on meetup.com called like spiritual babes in business or spiritual business and networking, something. I was like, well, I have a spiritual business, sort of. I was really into mindset and manifestation. I have a spiritual business and I have a business. And I went to this thing and I ended up falling into the world of neurolinguistics programming and quantum time technique and NLP. Oh, wait, well, NLP, hypnosis, subconscious reprogramming, the human mind, right? And my world, and I, went to a little low cost weekend thing and then ended up investing heavily in certifications in this area. And in that time frame, so this is over the summer of 2021. We've got end of May, June, and July. I went through all these certifications and my life started shifting, right? I started
Mm.
releasing limiting beliefs. I didn't want to hang out with the people I was was previously hanging out with. I wanted to be around new people who were talking about money differently and all this stuff. And in that time, I had already decided I was so done with the US. I need to get my butt back to Mexico. I didn't know when, but it had to happen. And it happened
Mhm.
right after going into these certifications and going through all this deep healing, releasing some pretty big beliefs that I had had around love and around money. And it was, I finished that certification and I ended up leaving for Mexico a couple of days later. And I did my first launch since that certification. I having $35,000 launch sales on something I hadn't even created yet,
Mm.
right? A program I hadn't even created yet. And my mind was blown because I'll be honest, I didn't know who I was talking to. I didn't know all the details of the offer. I didn't know like what messaging. I didn't know a lot of strategy, anything like that. So it was like, how did I do this? And then I'm in Mexico. I'm running this program and building it. It was called Freedom Life by Design. Building it at the same time, an 8-week program. And I decide, I want to be a six-figure business owner, which I was on track now, like this was a possibility. And I was like, what would she do? And I was like, she would celebrate this move to Mexico and this launch, and she would book a photo shoot with a photographer, which is so uncomfortable for me. Still is to this day, like this version of me, right? That version of me. But there was a list of photographer names in this expat group, and I zeroed in on one for some strange reason. There was literally probably 40 something names or more. And I went to his Instagram. I didn't see a lot of photos shoots. He had all this beautiful other stuff, but I wrote him and I'm like, hey, I would like to do a lifestyle photo shoot and video shoot and, just being Delulu with all this. And he's like,
Mm.
yeah. And he sends me his package. Anyways, I ended up going to this photo shoot and that person ended up being my soulmate, my person, my now husband, right? We've had two babies since then, and together we've built a super successful business. So this all came off the back end of deciding to get back to Mexico. Things when I made the decision, meeting this, going to this meetup.com, getting certified, and then moving to Mexico just a couple months after making that decision and building a successful business, manifesting a gorgeous villa, my first Airbnbs, like everything was so fast. The thing
Mm.
about the law of delusion is if you really tap into it, things start shifting at such a rapid pace that you almost have to be like, you have to get your nervous system on board with the shifts that are happening
Mm.
because it literally like collapses waveforms. If you know anything about quantum physics, it starts to collapse the waveforms and these like, I'm still in it right now since like August. It's again this like
Mm.
I'm in a different house than I was in August. Like everything just and it's like and it's the good and the bad. It's both. You're going to be met with all because you have if you're that version of you, well, not everything's going to be perfect. So can you handle that level of problems? Can you navigate all of it? You want the good? Do you also can you hold the bad? So even in that time frame, it's like, God, did I answer that? Summer of 2021, manifest the love of my life. Started, my first six-figure year. All this stuff started coming together before. this recent breakthrough.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful you just said that literally you're jumping timelines. This past weekend we had the first spring days here in Granada, so we were just walking the city and talking about the future with my husband and at some point he said, "Listen, for everything that you have on your mind, for us to accomplish all this, we need like 20 years. And you want to accomplish it in the next 2 years." And previously, it would have been like, shoot, I'm so delusional. Let's just get back to like normality or whatever he represents in our life. And and this time I just said, yeah, I fucking want to do it and we're gonna do it. And he said, don't you want to like come down to the, this city level, reality level? And I said, no, there is no need for me to get down there. It's
Yeah.
it's enough for you to be there and you just do your Excel, whatever needs to be done. We discussed this previously. But I don't need to come to that space with you because I know that this other thing is there for us. I don't even think that much time is necessary for that. Like I can totally see it. It's true that a few uh like incredible leaps would need to happen. When he says things like this to me, then I'm like, I wouldn't have met you if I didn't leave everything in Hungary in 2012 and said, fuck it, I'm just gonna move to Granada. And then people were like, why Granada? And I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna live there. And they were like, okay, but what if it doesn't work out? And I'm like, it will work out. This is my new home. This is gonna work out. And it did. Or the home where we are living now, it was totally not in the cards. And I just wanted to leave the previous home. And he was like, no, because it's not safe. We have to wait until the market. And I was kind of like just trying, I was just wishing, I just want to leave this house. I just need a different place. And I didn't know how it would happen. But 2 weeks later, the owner calls and says, guys, I need the place. You need to move out within 3 months. And I was like, yes. you know and that's how things happen. So why wouldn't they happen that way again? And
Hmm.
to be honest, I'm still often move or shift between like real life Delulu life, real life Delulu
Hmm.
life. The reason why I'm in your space is, in your space there's no necessity for real life, because real life is what society expects us to do. But it's just, who the hell says I should do things
Yeah,
in certain
according
ways?
to who? And real life is just an illusion as well. It's like I just don't subscribe to that illusion. I subscribe to the illusion that I desire, because who, according to who, does it take this much time? According to who, the whole Delulu audience was built overnight. These aren't my normal
Yeah,
people. These are all new people for the most part, like 98% of them. So there's like a story of like audiences take a lot of time. Maybe. And sometimes not. I don't know about the rest of my audience. It's like a waste. Like it's like they're not even here. It's all new people on a certain frequency that's like, oh,
yeah,
I'm tuned in. So I love how, yeah, you see, and everything you said was a decision energy. Well, I don't know. It just will work out. Like that is the key, right? It's staying in this, I've decided it, therefore it is, and not paying attention, focusing in on the lack thereof or any of the details so much of. It's just, I'm connected with what I say I desire, and
hmm.
I become unavailable for anything other than that. It's just not,
Yeah,
we don't have to be available for it. I am not
hmm.
available for it, right? It is human nature to switch back into that logic, you know, fear based, like all this stuff. It is. We've been programmed since the moment we came into, this earthly side to be that way. And the key is always going to be getting back into like, imagine all of the people, you think about some of the most successful people that you may be aware of, like you look at them and they're like, they had to be so delusional. They had to be so, and if you hear them speak, you're like, wow, that was so delusional, right? Because it's like, how? There's no way. Out of all the people, like, why you, why this? And it was, if you hear people speak, it was this level of delusion.
Hmm.
And for me, what I say is, it's only delusion is just being accurate in advance, right? Accurate before anyone else sees it. That's it.
Hmm.
So then they say, like, of course, when it happens, it's like, oh, now all of a sudden it's not delusional. It was delusional before there was
Yeah.
any evidence, but now it's just is. There is no reason I should be living the life that I'm living. I didn't come from, like, I came from all odds stacked against. And I'm sure you have a similar journey of like leaving your home country and doing all these other things, and how you even met your husband and built your business. Like, I think that's what helps some people, is that maybe life wasn't so easy, right?
Hmm.
It's like, well, delusion starts as survival. I've
Yeah.
got to be delusional, right? The alternative is not good. So I have to be delusional.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had to get to a point where I was like, it wasn't, when I made these key decisions, I don't think it was difficult financially because I left situations that were way better than what I got myself into. That was the
Mm.
difficulty about it, because then in everybody's eyes, you are like, okay, we just lost her. She's just batshit crazy. Because it wasn't even like my country, Hungary, is not a place. Now it is. Back then, it wasn't a place you would want to escape from or live
Yeah.
somewhere else. Yeah, and my situation was great, but then I ended up in the shower just having cold water come over my head because I couldn't even breathe because I just wanted out. So, but it looked perfect on the outside,
There we go. It looked perfect on the outside though. And
Hmm.
it's that feeling of like, and that's what I was referring to. Is like, I had this life, I was married, I had this home, I had my degree, I had all this stuff, and on the outside it appeared one way, but internally it's like waking up and realizing I'm miserable, I'm dying inside, something's not
Hmm.
quite, this is not what I envisioned I would feel.
Hmm. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your name. Where does Amoya Shante come from? How does someone pick a name like that? For Is that a
Mhm.
business name, and how did it come? And if someone ever thought of, okay, I need a different name, like how do you even go about it?
Okay, so I find names to be very powerful. This is something that came to me in 2020. Amoya Shante is my legal first name and middle name.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my last name is still my married name from my past marriage, and there was a time and I used to use it, which I don't want to put it on here, but I used to use it, and it felt like I was in shackles with this name.
Mm.
And then my maiden name of Duncan felt like I was still in ownership of like my grandpa and all. Like, I just felt like I was in shackles. Something happened in 2021 where my last name felt very shackled. It felt not like me. It felt like someone having ownership over me. So I made the decision one day to drop my last name and just go by my first and middle name. And how my name came together, my mom just said someone had a name tag at like McDonald's when she was pregnant, when she was in the drive-thru. I don't know how she picked my middle name either, but it has a good ring to it, right? For a business name
Oh
too.
yeah.
So name the company that, like Amoya Shante. And I feel like it's like, with business, you get to choose these characters, and names have like a signature energy to them, right? And when I would say Amoya Shante, it felt so much more powerful. It's like I reclaimed my power by dropping my legal married name, right? Which I carry legally because my daughter with my ex husband still has that last name. And I don't want her to feel, I don't want to leave her without, with just being the only one with that name. So
Yeah.
yeah, it just came to be in 2020 where I just dropped my married name and just started claiming that identity of Amoya Shante. Once it goes back to this identity thing, right? Just like your
Hmm.
Law of Delusion bestie, it's these identity pieces of this is what I'm claiming I want to step into, and these are the names that match that,
Hmm.
character, which is me,
Yeah.
right? But there's something
Yes.
that helps you step more into it based on the name that you might choose.
And did you have to like explain to your community back then, or is just from one day to the other you started
I
calling
am
yourself?
so good at just, and I tell this people all the time, pivoting. Whether that's a name, whether that's a program, whether that's a niche, I don't explain, I just move. And people tend to rise up, and then some, of course, will fall off because it's not in alignment with that. And I've always just been, not always, it's been a navigation, but okay with like, hey, this is where I'm moving. This is like the sales are changing. I'm pivoting. And I know there's some people who are like, because I'll get that question. Should I announce to my community that I'm no longer in the love niche? I'm like, no, just move. Like the new version of you. Move and you'll see how people are like, they forget you did anything else. They start to forget like your name was something else, right? I mean, I think it depends on because I was just dropping my last name. Yeah, I didn't make any. I just did it. I just move.
Amazing. I love that so much. We worry so much about like the other day I had a dream of one client reaching out and saying, "Your emails don't make sense. You need to explain to me what you're doing." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm going crazy because this didn't actually happen. I'm just making it up, but it comes from the subconscious. Oh my God, oh my, like nobody freaking cares. Like people who might have both from me, they won't care because if they love this stuff, they won't care. If they didn't like it, they don't even remember me anyway.
Exactly. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves, and we'll like think a whole conversation that didn't even happen. Like, oh, they must think they they must they must feel this way, like it's just interesting what we make up and what our beautiful subconscious mind presents to us, right? As a safety mechanism. And it feels
Yeah.
in our body like a real threat too, to where it plays out in our dreams and all this stuff. And it's like the amount of energy that goes into that and worrying about all that. I'm like, we gotta redirect. We gotta
Yeah.
channel it.
Yeah, even thinking back, it feels so silly, but sometimes our brain just goes its
Yeah.
own way, playing
Yes.
those tricks on us. Yeah. Okay. There's one thing I wanted to touch on, and that is I usually teach in my membership and in my spaces connecting with your future self, or attracting what you are dreaming of. Tell my listeners a little bit about how in your world we are not connecting with our future self. It's that nothing else exists, right? Like how is your way of living things different from manifestation, from attracting things, law of attraction, and connecting with your future self?
Oh, I love that. In my world, in the Delulu verse, the key is to just be her now. So there's no needing to, I mean, there's tools where it's like, hey, but it's like you're deciding you are her and you're already in that reality. It doesn't matter what you're seeing, that's a lie. It's an illusion, right? It's Like it's an
Mm.
illusion. It's a decision of, well, I already am her. It's already happened, right? And this is when the 3D, your whatever, your manifestations start chasing you. Like my manifestations chase me, right? I don't need
Mm.
to attract them. I don't need to go after them. I'm just already that version of me. Therefore, the 3D that operates on a little bit of a lag, right? There's like a buffering, is just catching up to who I'm being at all times. So the difference in the way that I approach this is like, yeah, I have tools where you're like envisioning that that desired reality, like in the Delulu verse, you're going and you're experiencing all the sensations. And the
Mm.
biggest part of my work and what I actually do, because I don't do everything every night where I'm not envisioning, it's just, hey, I am her. It's already
Mm.
here. So I just move through my day. I make decisions like that. And there's always this level for me of slight discomfort. I call it the Delulu edge that I'm leaning into as I'm expanding that version of me. Like, okay, this, if you want multiple millions or you're calling in the love of your life or a certain health, I'm already that version. She has already done all this and she's left me the
Mm.
blueprint. So now I'm just following that blueprint that was left behind based on what I decide in any given moment. It's a
Mm.
decision energy. It takes a lot. What I've learned, the best part of it is learning how to ignore the 3D completely. See it as the illusion that it is and move with this certain level of inevitability because it's already
Mm.
happened. That's why I can envision something. Well, it's already, there's the version of me that's already experienced that and I'm already her. So I'm just doing the same paths, right? I'm just
Yes.
going on the blueprint that she left behind. And therefore what happens is the 3D starts forming and matching to that beingness. That's how the times just the person comes in and it's the right person for what you're needing, or the idea drops in and it's the exact move that you needed to make, or whatever the case is. It just starts to speed up so quickly with the 3D matching this version of you that you're being, choosing,
Mm.
deciding, if that makes sense.
To me, definitely.
In the community, I'm like, I really leaned into, because I'm like, when I launched, say, my mastermind, I brought in a lot of that, like, hey, you're messaging, who are you talking to? And now it's like I still don't completely know if I'm being,
Mm.
I'm not, I'm trying to get clear on it now, like, okay, who am I speaking to, what is the, but it's like we're on a vibration, a frequency, and we do know, science will back you, everything is energy, right? So I'm just tapping into the energy of all of my desired reality and that beingness, who I am there, and then just operating from that place at all times. So it's hard to put into words sometimes, but it is like when I think of the practical steps, I remember like in August, like telling my husband, because we had like retired our signature program and took this big risk and it wasn't panning out really well. I just remember telling him, like, he would come to me like, hey, we have this bill and this. I'm like, I'm not available for it. I don't want to hear anything. I can't hear it. I'm in the frequency. I just remember telling him I'm here. Like it's all happening. He's like, but it's not. And I'm like, it is. It's already happened. It's all happening. And I just remember it was so funny in August after I made this Delulu decision. I was like, I don't want to hear anything. I don't care if we don't have, if money all dries out. I cannot hear anything. I don't want to know anything. And I just remember him a few times. I could just picture him and my like coming up to me, and I'd go, not available. I'm not available. Hang tight. I got this. The 3D's catching up. I know you can't see it, but I've seen it. I've already experienced it. I'm here. No evidence. Absolutely no evidence. Everything was on the line. At this time, I already had people I have to pay, team members, expenses, all this livelihood, and just being in this thing. And I've learned that moment, and that's been the moments. It's selling all your possessions and traveling the world, getting out of that marriage. It's all leaping and continuing to leap without any form of evidence that this is going to work out. And it comes back to something I've really been exploring is like, at the end of the day, say it doesn't go exactly how I envision it. Am I going to be okay? Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
I can navigate anything at this point. We'll be okay. So then it's like, well, everything's just a cherry on top. Because at any moment, you can just experience your desires, right? You can tap into the feeling. So now it becomes the 3D is just a bonus, like actually having it happen, right? Because what happens
Yeah.
if, okay, you have a seven-figure business, but you freaking hate it? Well, did you want the seven-figure business, or did you want the way you thought you would feel with it? If you're in a
Mm.
relationship, did you want that and you thought it would feel like this, but it's like horrific? Well, did I want that? Or did I want to feel the things that I thought I would feel? So my job
Mm.
is you feel it, and then 3D is a bonus. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I've already experienced. I'm in the Delulu verse with it. I've already experienced it. So it's showing up now. It's probably not even as good as my experience that I've already had.
Yeah. I love it.
That's,
From now on, my tagline is I'm not available.
I'm not available. It's a really unbothered energy. Get just adopted. I'm not available.
Love it, love it. All right, I'm gonna put it. I have this sticker here on my desk. The less I do, the more I make. I'll put another one here. I'm not available.
That's a good one too, because we know that we can. That is a key, and that was for me back in August too. As I kept doing more, right? Originally I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do all these extra things. I had to suspend, like stop and sit with myself. It was
Hmm.
never about doing more, it was about being more of who I truly was, or like expressing myself more. And
Yeah.
then everything started matching that. So I love how you said, like, so slowing down, pulling it back actually led to more money, more love, better health, all that stuff. It was never in the like there's only so much doing you can do before you just
Yes.
bottleneck your business and your life and everything else. Then you can't go past.
Especially if you want your life to be part of the equation.
Hello. This is what we forget. Me too. It's like, hey, hello. Like, what is the point? Once again, okay, I've got this big successful business, but I can't even take a day off. I can't turn my brain. And even if I'm off, my brain's like, oh my God, did this email get answered? Is this client taken care of? Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. If someone is listening now and they are like, oh my God, have I been living under a rock? I haven't heard of her yet, but where can I find her? Where can I get started? You did have an amazing like intro program, which was Gateway 21, which I participated. Are you redoing it anytime soon, or what is there in your world available for someone new?
That's it. It is Gateway, and it's March 30th, and there's a priority
Is
list,
it?
and you. Yes, it's March round 4 of Gateway. It is our thing. It is a standalone experience that is will shift things for people in ways that they can't even imagine yet. It's a little mysterious. It's a little it doesn't need many words. It's a felt thing. So, yeah,
Mm.
anybody that desires to work with me, they're probably going to come through that experiment of Gateway 21, and round 4 kicks off on March 30th, and we have a priority list now that's building with people ready to go in on this next round. That's probably going to be pretty big. Probably our biggest round. Actually, it's already been decided, our biggest round to date with Delulu besties from around the world, right? So, mm, that's
Amazing. So
yeah.
I'll get a link from you for that, and we will definitely put this in. And before we finish off, although I could talk about this for another 10 hours because there's so many, it's just so much. Like I see you almost every week, and
Yeah.
today you still blew my mind. So I just so
Oh, I
appreciate
appreciate
being in
you.
this space with you. But before we finish off, my last question I ask all my guests is, it's funny because it will sound like, come on, she already answered this, but it's about where do you see yourself in 3 years? What's your dream for your life, for your business? But maybe you in your head you are already there because you are just now catching up. But yeah, what's your juiciest, dreamiest dream that you are holding for yourself or you are already living into for 3 years from now?
Oh, this question. I've been pondering this because I know this takes us back just a little bit. Back in August, I had this dream of like going to Italy. I don't know where this urge. I'm a manifester in human design, so I get weird urges all the time. That I'm like, oh, do I act on this? Right? I was like, I'm gonna go to Italy, which I've been to Italy. Like, it was just such a compelling factor for me that I would just experience in the Delulu verse. Like, I'm in Italy, and that's went away. And I was like, oh my God, can I really keep quantum leaping if I don't have a really juicy thing? And I realized I am living in it, right? I'm painting walls, I'm putting up wallpaper. The only shift for me would be a juicy vision. Life is so good right now. It's just, honestly, it's so bigger than me. It's paying my team members more and just spending more time actually with my family. Like, I really am experiencing such a beautiful life. So in 3 years from now, I don't see much, I can't even see much changing because it feels like this is like I'm really on the right path. And with me, you never know. In 3 years, I could be living a completely different like reality. It's just, I really truly like it just happened so quickly. But when I see myself in 3 years, I see this just amplified amount of revenue without taking more time in the business, amplified pay for my team members, really small, committed, like juicy team, and just more time with my family, more play, more adventures, more travel, and, a little bit more wallpaper and paint and stuff like that. But that's it. Like, there's no, I'm living the juicy vision right now, truly. And I am really grateful for that vision and that experience.
It's amazing. I'm so happy for you. And I'm so happy for me for having found you because
So
you
grateful you.
really you really took this weight off of my shoulder. I think I was already tapping into my future self and I already attracted so many things in, but I'm realizing that since the day I started listening to you, I haven't really freaked out because I'm just like, I got this. And I'm not saying that crazy shit didn't happen, like my company almost getting deleted again and stuff like that. Shit that I would have sleepless nights about,
Mm.
but it's not happening anymore. Or we lost our video editor like this morning in the middle of a huge project and I was just like, we have two more. And even just like seeing that or knowing is the knowing that that we got this. And I don't know where it comes from, but yes, I know where it comes from. It comes from what i what I open myself up to through working with you. And I know it wouldn't have happened if I just said, yeah, yeah, nice. I can do this by myself. And I don't think it would have happened because there were so many occasions that it could have just faded out. And
Mm.
whenever it fades out, I just know that I just have to join one of your calls and it's back at the same level again. So thank you so much for lighting this fire and keeping it going inside of me and us, the whole, on behalf of the whole community. Thank you.